Is the state?
I don't think it does.
Good morning. We will call this meeting to order. We're now holding a meeting of the Levy County Board of County Commission. I will ask Commissioner Brock Meeks to lead us in the prayer and Commissioner Tim Hodge to lead us in the pledge.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you just humbly thank you so much for this day, Lord. I just thank you for each of the folks that's represented here in this room today, Lord. I just ask you to be with us as we go our separate ways today. Be with us, bless us, forgive us when we fail you, Lord. And Lord, I just want to thank you so much for the men and women in our military, past, present, and future, Lord, that have served their time, Lord, for us to be able to conduct business the way we do in our country, Lord. I thank you for the freedoms we have for those sacrifices, Lord. I thank you so much for them, Lord. I thank you for our first responders as well. I thank you for our EMT and our paramedics, Lord. I thank you for what they do for us here in our county, Lord. I just ask you now, as I said, continue to please be with them, bless them, and I just ask you now to be with us as we conduct the business for Levy County, Lord. I ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shanda will call the roll.
Commissioner John Meeks.
Here.
Commissioner Brock Meeks.
Here.
Commissioner Mills.
Here.
Commissioner Hodge.
Here.
Commissioner Brooks.
Here.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any modifications that need to take place concerning the agenda? I have that item number 13. We need to strike Bronson and insert Wilson.
Madam Chair, I move the agenda as presented with change.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner John Meeks and seconded by Commissioner Matt Brooks to accept the agenda with the changes noted. Are there any other discussion items? No. Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Agenda is now set. Moving into proclamations. Commissioner Matt Brooks, will you take the floor and introduce the recipient?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This time, do we have Chuck Hipwick, Andy Clark, or Grace McDaniel with us today? If we do not, I will proceed with the proclamation. Please, the chair. Thank you. Okay, the proclamation that I have before the board today is declaring March 2024 as National Athletic Training Month in Levy County, Florida. Excuse me. Whereas the Athletic Trainers Association of Florida was founded in the year 1983 as an organization committed to the education of its members and the enhancement of the profession of athletic training, creating better health care for the population it serves. And whereas athletic trainers from professional, collegiate, and high school teams, industries, physician offices, rehabilitation clinics, and every branch of the United States military work together to promote the practice, the profession of athletic training within Levy County of the state of Florida. And whereas athletic trainers have a long history of providing quality health care for athletes and persons engaged in regular physical activity. Whereas athletic trainers are highly skilled healthcare professionals who specialize in immediate, acute, and emergency care, examination, assessment, and diagnosis, injury prevention, risk management, therapeutic intervention, and rehabilitation of injury and illness. And whereas the National Athletics Trainers Association represents and supports more than 45,000 members of the athletic training profession, including more than 3,000 athletic trainers in the state of Florida, And whereas leading organizations concerned with athletic training and healthcare have united in a common commitment to raise public awareness of the importance of the profession of athletic training and the role of athletic trainers in the provision of quality healthcare services. And whereas it is the desire of Levy County and the state of Florida to promote improved healthcare for all athletes and all of those who engage in physical activity. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners, Levy County, Florida, the month of March 2024 be recognized as National Athletic Training Month in Levy County, and upon all residents of the county to join us in recognizing athletic trainers for their honorable work in the community and keeping the community healthy. Duly proclaimed this 5th day of March 2024. And Madam Chair, I just wanted to add to that for this proclamation too, that I definitely want to congratulate our Williston varsity basketball team for winning back-to-back state championships over the weekend, and having the athletic trainers there for all of our football events, volleyball, whatever the event is, we have the athletic trainers there, and they're always there to assist. And that's part of the emphasis for this proclamation today for the board to consider, and I hope we'll consider it.
Thank you. Thank you. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve. Or not, rather.
Motion to approve by Commissioner John Meeks and a second by Commissioner Tim Hodge. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Proclamation will be accepted into the record.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner Brooks, for bringing that forward. So we're now in the first public comment section. Public comment forms are available on the back table. Feel free to get one and fill it out and then hand it into Mr. Dean when it's complete. I will call your name in the order the forms are received. As you approach the podium, please remember to speak clearly into the microphone, and it does adjust for people like myself who are shorter or tall. Speak clearly into the microphone, state your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Ms. Harper will be keeping track of the time. I have a comment form from Ms. Muriel Ellison. Would you like to speak first, Ms. Ellison?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I handed the gentleman the papers, he given to you in the picture.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm here from Springside, in Chiefland, Florida, and I've lived here for 31 years, and I have a neighbor over 8 years that respects nothing, no laws. He just dumps everything he can in his front lawn, side lawn, and back lawn, and that's right next to me. And the last little episode was 30 logs dumped in his front yard. Now, I've complained about it to our board, people have talked to him, I wrote him a letter, and I have one there for the commissioner, and I'd like to have him read it and look at the pictures and try to resolve this problem. I'm sick of living next door to a dump and everybody else in park. 98% of people keep a nice lawn and have a lot of respect for the environment. Thank you.
Ms. Ellison, we will give this information to Mr. Banton, our code enforcement, and he can talk with you.
I'm trying to do nothing with this,
I said we will give this information to Mr. Banton, our code enforcement, and he can take this up with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Seeing none, we will move into our regular business. We have Levy County Coordinator Wilbur Dean.
All right. So the first item of business have here is to call up Logan Dool from the state of Florida with Goethe Forest to present a check. Logan?
Good morning. It's nice to have you.
Great to be here. I'll briefly introduce myself and then get on to the checks that we have for you guys. My name is Logan Gould. I live in Florida, and I just love kind of serving in natural areas management. I've been with Goethe State Forest now for about 5 years, and have recently been appointed as the supervisor in place of Mark Larson, who's been here in years previous to present checks. The other name on this paper who wasn't able to make it today because he's incredibly busy is Michael Cash. He's our new forest area supervisor, so that's the fire control side primarily for all of Levy County. So when things catch on fire, his phone rings and rings. So he's a very busy man. Anyways, I'll move on to the checks that we have for the commission and the school board. So as you may know, we produce a lot of timber off of Goethe. It's one of the highest producing state forests in terms of timber revenue. Last year, the Florida Forest Service as a whole produced about $4.1 million worth of timber revenue, and of that $4.1 million, 1.1 million came off of Goethe alone. And so, depending on how the fiscal years fall, 15% of that gets divided up between the chair and the school board. So I have enclosed the payment of $42,343.29 to the Levy County Board of County Commissioners, as well as the same payment to the school board on behalf of Commissioner Wilton Simpson and myself. I'd just like to say thank you and the community for your support, and we're here to serve, so come down and see us, ride some trails. We're always here for the public, so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate having the asset of Goethe Forest in our county. It's utilized by many, and we certainly appreciate Chad. Taxpayers appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right, Commissioners, the next item I have is discussion, with Mayor Parton from the town of Bronson wanting to add a member to the Water and Wastewater Law. Mayor Parton?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Doing real well, thank you. Today I am here with a different hat on. So, first of all, I'd like to thank y'all for y'all's expertise and help and everything on this project that we are attempting to do. We have officially formed our co-op. It is up and running. And, first of all, I'd like to introduce the board members that we have on them that could not be here today that I'm aware of. But we have representation from the 3 municipalities, which is impacted by this. We have Cedar Key with Mr. Joe. And who's here? He represents the Cedar Key Water District, Special Water District. Mr. Zim Paget represents the town of Water Creek. And I represent the town of Bronson. We are diligently moving forward. And we ask again to give you a little bit of an update. We have received a couple of grants already. The first one was a $50,000 startup grant, which helped us with the financials, the legal situations and everything that is there for this co-op. That has been accomplished. We are moving diligently forward with that. We received our second grant, that's a $300,000 startup and planning grant. We have just let the contract and go for the RPUs, which is to discuss hiring the engineers to design that plan. So our project is up and running. That's where y'all come in. We not only encompass the communities, we encompass 35 miles of Levy County. So that encompasses the rural section. And there's decisions that needs to be made here, and we need to have representation from the county. And the bylaws state that, we will have elected officials. And those people, due to the sunshine law, we can't get multiples from any one thing. So we're reaching out to the county, the commissioner, and the school board to help us with this endeavor. There is no financial, everything will be done with grants, of course. And we have voted to to expand our board to meet that criteria. And we just come today humbly asking to appoint a member of your board to serve on our board, to help us lead the city. Because it will impact the county, and the school board, and our children, and everything else for the future. And with that being said, we did have a brochure. This is just, if anybody else wants any of these, we do have them in the back. This is just the beginning. We also have these that, for each community, Boston, CFT, and Oak Creek also have their own. We are working diligently with the water management folks. They have been a blessing. We are working with the state and federal level. So, like I say, there's a lot of decisions to be made. This project is expanded now to the $130, $150 million project. So, and with the cost compared to today's time, that could go to the roof. This is not going to happen overnight. It's a long-range thing, so, again, this decision has to be made for the future of our county and our municipality. So, I humbly ask y'all to appoint somebody from your board to help us with this endeavor, and I will leave it at that.
Hey, Mr. Harden, the two grants that you've already had, who are those from? Are those from the Water Management District?
Water Management District one came from one suit.
Rural Infrastructure Fund, RAF, was the planning grant, $300,000.
There's so much of this going on. We've got close to 200 million already applied for in grants, all over the place. We have a grant writer that's working with that, with our engineering firm. Every time something pops up, we get phone calls from our U.S. senators and state representatives on a daily basis. You know, you need to look at this, you need to look at that. And we apply for everything.
Y'all just got some funding, am I correct? One grant, y'all just got one grant, correct?
Yeah. 300,000, we just got it. That's what we're planning. And all this stuff has to be done, just like standing up a bunch of dominoes, not. Got to get one part done, and then they start looking at the next one.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Brooks.
Mr. Carter, the question that I have is for the request for us to appoint somebody from our board to that board. Is it mainly for, I guess, a liaison or input communication as this project develops and progresses? It's going to traverse parts of the unincorporated area, so you'll need the county working with you
Absolutely.
hand in hand? Is that the name?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
I mean, this encompasses the Rosewood area. There is already in the second phase of it to go out towards Alachua County, and you know where that's at? University of Oaks. I get to know these university things. I mean, that's the expansion that we're looking at. That would encompass y'all's water district out there that you have out there also, so, you know, we're just, it's a long project, believe me. There's gonna need to be some young blood in here, because some of us won't be here, you know, to carry through this thing. But we need the county in here, we need the school board in here, because it impacts 3 school systems. Excuse me. Yeah, 3, because we got actually 4, the elementary schools and the high schools from CFT and Boston. And that's a bunch of children. And we need to improve that water quality. And of course, one of the serious things is the impact of potential for flooding in CFT, what the impact that it would do to the whole community and the infrastructure that works like that. So, we have good water here in Boston. We don't have a problem with that, but everybody needs to have good water. And this has been a long-going project. It's been going on 2 years now between a few of us that started this thing, and I'm going to see it through the end.
Madam Chair, one last thing. The governor recently came down to Cedar Key and awarded grants to help with lift stations and speaking to the elected officials and past mayor and current mayor in Cedar Key. That's been a long-term goal, is they've got to fix their wastewater treatment plant and got to do something about water. So they've already been working on this, and the impetus for this board being put together is to bring all these projects into one larger project eventually. So get good water out and take the bad stuff off CMP as well.
The initial thing was just to supply water.
Right, I remember that.
And when we got into the project and got to look at the fundamentals of it, if you're gonna dig a hole, you might as well put 2 pipes. We just gotta make sure we use the right ones to go to the door.
And being in Cedar Key and meeting with the governor and the rest of the delegation from the state of Florida, this is a priority of the state, so.
Oh, yes, like I said, we communicate on a daily basis.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
The only question I have is for this board, is there anybody interested in being on this so we can
I was just about
consider
to
it?
ask that. Is there anyone on this board that's willing to serve?
Commissioners, if I may,
Yes.
before you make any decisions. So the county wasn't provided any backup information with regard to this item, except for some minutes from a board meeting.
Okay.
I obtained the interlocal agreement for the cooperative, and in order to be a director on the board, you have to become a member of the cooperative. And if you all remember, back in late 2022, when you last discussed this topic, county staff provided you 2 memorandum that sort of outlined a decision tree and the important considerations that the board should think about if you were to become a member of the cooperative. Because then you truly, well, number one, you only become a member of the cooperative if you have some interest in providing utility service. Number two, there are many obligations that come along with that, including if the cooperative were to be dissolved down the road, the members are responsible for the obligations of that entity. So I won't get into all the details of the memorandum that staff provided to you, but it is important to understand that I think the first discussion, unless this agreement is not the correct one, is that you would have to become a member in order to have a director on the board.
I got a couple questions, Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner John Meeks?
So far, Mr. Park, to your knowledge, how much money has the municipalities had to take out of pocket to pay for any expenses incurred?
It's our time, energy, and efforts.
It's all been provided for.
The town of Boston has done some stuff, but it was just because of, just hospitality. So Cedar Key, same thing. Most of it was donated. If you believe in the project, you do things like that.
How, have y'all approached the school board? How are the talks going with the school board?
They're next on our meeting. We were supposed to go to them week before last, I think it was. The board member that serves that area down there that is on the chair, she was out due to a family sickness or whatever. She has volunteered to serve on this board. If they decide to go with it, all things point to that direction. So.
Madam Chairman, I have a couple of questions as well. To become a partner in this endeavor, I guess this question would be to Ms. Shelving. To become a partner with this cooperative, do we do that by form of a motion? Do we do that by form of, how do we just make a motion to become a partner? How do we do that?
So first, this board needs to have a discussion about why you are becoming, it's not really a partner, it's becoming a member for purposes of the cooperative is set up to both generate and then distribute wholesale water and wastewater. So a member then has utilities that connect to those wholesale systems. So the county needs to have a discussion about why are you becoming a member? What water and wastewater do you want to purchase to distribute to your local utility? So that's where you start, and then the interlocal agreement says once you all have decided why it is that you want to become a member, what objectives you're trying to achieve for the county. And remember, a lot of that, as staff pointed out in the memorandum, a lot of the areas where the infrastructure is going through are areas of the unincorporated county that really aren't suitable for development. You heard from your planning director back then, it's a lot of the wet area between Otter Creek and Cedar Key, and Bronson and Cedar Key. So, you know, those are all things that this board will have to think about, and I know staff recommended getting consultants to sort of help you evaluate, you know, why you would get into it. Once you make the decision that that's a good thing to do for the county and a good use of county resources, then you would make application for membership to the cooperative, then they have to have a meeting, review that, determine that it's appropriate for you to become a member, and then after that, then you would be talking about who you might appoint as a director to represent the county as a member.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm going to get my 2 cents worth. There is, as Ms. Shelley stated, there is quite a bit of the unincorporated area that is not suitable for development, per se. Not to say that it would not one day in the future. But we have the area of Rosewood, Sumner, and then between Sumner and Cedar Key, that it's unincorporated area, but the density is lower in that area, and there is a lot of people there. And if you would like to see how many people there is in that general area, I'll send one of our mosquito control trucks one night whenever they're spraying that Rosewood Sumner route, and you'll see how many people are in that unincorporated area. And for a buy-in for this, for future, would be, I mean, we have the opportunity, Commissioner Rooks that used to sit on this board whenever we get large amounts of rain from tropical storm, hurricane type rain, and flood events, those people struggle because they're absolutely underwater. So water wells, septic tanks, most of those, a lot of those are newer and elevated tanks, but it's still, whenever we get 24 inches of rain, those people have considerable amount of issue. So I would think that alone would be part of the reason for our buy-in to that. Naturally, between Bronson and Otter Creek, you're correct, but in those particular areas, who's to say that whenever DEP takes over all the septic tank stuff in the state, and if I'm not mistaken, that's going to happen in 2 years from now, all septic stuff will be out of the hands of the individual counties, and in the Department of DEP will handle all septics from there. Well, what if those residents we have are at that point in time required by legislature to have some sort of a high-performance septic system on their homes that costs an exuberant amount of money to put in, and it has to be maintained? We have a young man here from the health department that said those high-performance tanks have to be maintained twice a year at $500 a piece. So if the opportunity is there and we could join this cooperative to provide that service there, I feel like that's a win-win. And who's to say what else is going to be developed in that pathway or in that swath of area because of a utility? So, that's kind of my spin about it.
Those are the exact things that staff said that you all should evaluate. For instance, so it sounds like you're talking about the county potentially providing utility services to those residents in those areas. So you want some preliminary evaluation of is it feasible, what kind of system would that be? Because again, the county would create that utility system at the county's expense, which would then hook into the cooperative's wholesale systems. I do note under the interlocal agreement, the cooperative can also provide local utility services if the jurisdiction if the entity with jurisdiction consents to that. So in that case, the county wouldn't even need to become a member. The county could just authorize the cooperative to provide utility service in those areas if you thought that was appropriate. So again, just many considerations that should be carefully thought through and evaluated.
Again, we're not talking about the county having to pay money or anything, we're just talking about joining.
Well, if you become a member, the interlocal agreement provides this entity with the authority to undertake a lot of debt, bonds, financial obligations. Sounds like they haven't done that thus far, but if you study water and wastewater cooperatives throughout the state, there generally is not enough grant money to fully fund everything, and so these entities do wind up taking on certain debt. Again, that will be a decision for the board of directors, but if you become a member and the entity takes on debt and ultimately dissolves or anything happens, then the county would be responsible for its share.
Madam Chair.
Well, Tim had a question first, so Commissioner Hodge.
Yes, ma'am. If there was a board member, one of us board members would it put us in part of maintaining this, I guess you would say the whole system, part of the water and the wastewater? Would the county be responsible for some of the maintenance if there was a board member on that?
Well, like I said, the county has to become a member of the cooperative. And yes, as a member of the cooperative is its own legal entity, comprised of its members. So the county, by becoming a member, would be basically one quarter interest holder in that cooperative. And so the director that represents the county would be voting on the county's behalf and sort of representing the county's interests, but you would become a one-quarter, basically, owner of the cooperative, of its infrastructure. All the costs of maintaining that are borne by the members of the cooperative, again, unless there's grant funding. To the extent that grant funding doesn't cover it, and the fees, rates, and charges to the local utilities don't cover it.
Madam Chair. I think the attorney's correct there, but potentially 1/5 the school board joins in, correct?
Yes. Yeah, however many members there may be.
I do want to remind the board that there was a public meeting held in Rosewood at Rosewood Baptist Church last fall. Anyway, this project was very well received by the folks in the unincorporated area because of the problems that were cited by Commissioner Meeks as far as the issues whenever they do get a rain, the water from the septic tanks goes into the well, makes the potable water undrinkable at that time. But if it's even drinkable now, most of it's not even drinkable now, but so there is a demand by the public in that area, or there was at that night. Everybody that was there was on board. I think there were 60 people from the public. So.
Ms. Cooper? I know you had your hand out, you were just trying to deliberate, so.
Linda Cooper, Williston, Florida. This has been brought before the board before. As a citizen of the unincorporated area, we do not want this. You already have 2 failed water systems that you're taking care of because they went defunct and the state's mandated you to do this. We in the Highlands and places where we have good water, because that's where we chose to live, do not want to pay for this. We do not want the county to get involved in this. I don't want to be on the hook for this. If the municipalities can't handle their own business, then that's on them. Perhaps they shouldn't have building permits issued any longer until they can handle it. But we do not want this who live in the unincorporated area and pay these bills. You have enough on your plate and enough business without taking this on. If the people in Rosewood want to live there, they chose to live there. Same thing in Otter Creek. If those municipalities can't handle their business, then shame on them. But they can expand their services, get their own grants. I do not, as a person who lives in the unincorporated area, do not want any part of this. And the attorney has more or less told you in no uncertain terms, this is not a good fit. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure of the board. Do we want to take this to a workshop? Does anybody?
As far as I'm concerned, I mean, if we've gotta have some sort of an agreement, is that something that, we have to have, Ms. Shelley write up an agreement, or do they provide us an agreement? How does that work, Ms. McCollum? If we wanna move forward.
Well, again, if you want to move forward, I think some evaluation and analysis needs to be provided to this board by staff and/or outside consultants. Again, going through the why are we joining and what are we seeking to accomplish. Once that's done, then it would be a matter of you all making application for membership to the cooperative, and then going before their board meeting and seeing what. I don't think they've admitted additional members yet, so I'm not sure what that process looks like from their side. That's what the interlocal agreement calls for.
So staff analysis.
Well, provide quality drinking water, if we provide quality drinking water, to this endeavor, I think that, and wastewater, that's reason enough, as far as I'm concerned. So, we, Madam Chairman, just need to direct staff to, put something together for us, or maybe an idea of how many, to bring back to the board, and then we go from there.
So you're interested in creating utilities in Rosewood and Sumner? Is that the extent of the area, or do you want staff to study, get information from the cooperative on where their lines are planned for, and then look at where the county might want to provide service in that area? And then we could cost out the county creation of additional county-run utilities?
I would like to see that, yes.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Meeks?
there is a quite extensive, study that was already done, by, environment, no.
Wetland
Wetland Solutions. So.
We had to do this for all the grants that we applied for before the mayor. And, I mean, I have all that information for you, if you want it.
There may be some information there that we can.
And it was in those minutes and everything, that y'all asked for. You know, we know that there's some decisions to be made here for the future that's going to be tough. Just an example of just some of the figures that we've heard, John, you said it, some of these meetings with us. Just for the city of Cedar Key to update their sewer system and get it off the island, to keep from causing a catastrophe down there. I think it was 65 million, is that correct?
60 something, 60 or 65 million dollars.
They've already moved their water pumps and wells out there almost Rosewood. And they've already got saltwater intrusion back again. Yes, we don't have that problem here in Bronson. I have got that high yet. So, but I do have a feeling for those people down there. And does Bronson get anything out of it? Absolutely. You know, we're looking at the future. You can't sit here on your hands and wait for it to come in handy to you. You've got to plan. And this is an ongoing project. We have specified in our decisions to do this, that it would have to be funded through grants, federal, whatever. And that's it. I mean, if it doesn't fly, it doesn't fly, okay? But if Polk County get a whole regional thing for the whole county, not just one little strip, for the whole county, every person in that county. And that's exactly what the state of Florida talked about, with their septic tank systems and everything, but when that bill starts coming to you, and you have to go get that new septic system, because yours failed, it costs you $20,000 to put it in, that's what I'm hearing, the numbers I'm hearing, it'll get your attention. If you wait till the last day for that, then you're, but I understand the concerns, there's always concerns. But you can't wait on somebody else to do it for you, that's what I'm saying. I understand there's gonna be some people that do not agree with this. That's why we proceed in the direction we went, we funded this way. So, and I'll leave it at that.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Brooks.
And speaking to Ms. Shalley's, I guess, guidance on this for information, the memorandum that she had submitted to us, I think it was in 2022, it kind of outlines the questions to be answered in the interlocal agreement. And I think for us to be able to analyze it and make the best decision, I think that's what the board is saying. Let's look at what that interlocal agreement will look like, how we enter into it, what will be our responsibilities, because that was my main concern throughout this process was, yeah, you can get involved in the utility business, but you have consumers on the other end. So what's going to be the wholesale rate, and then what's going to be the retail rate? And is it feasible to hook these people up? And that may be getting in the weeds, further in the future, but I still think it's a valid thing to look at with the interlocal agreement and let us be, in charge of our own destiny and not have an interlocal agreement that we enter into by another entity.
So,
You'll,
go ahead.
you'll bring that back to the next meeting? Madam Chairman?
I don't think that your county staff, the agenda deadline for that next meeting, I believe is next Wednesday. And there is no way that engineering, planning, zoning, myself can obtain the studies. We have some of the studies, but you all haven't talked about this in a while. Obtain those, update those, consult with county consultants to the extent that we need to. So we can certainly bring it back, but there are many priorities that we're working on for this board.
I say we put a rush on it, and we put a rush on it and get it back as soon as we possibly can, because as Mr. Roberts said, they're needing to add members to their board. And although, yeah, they may be in municipalities, but those municipalities are still in Levy County. And it's not just, we all have to work together, to say the least. And I know that was said a few minutes ago about, well, that's a municipality issue, but it is inside the parameters of Levy County. So that's where I'm at on it. So I'd like to see something back as quickly as can possibly be turned around. So.
Ms. Nicole, I know we have a lot on you, so you think maybe April-ish? Because we have a tremendous amount going on.
And I think staff, this is really not, I'm speaking to it because I remember having reviewed these and talked to staff. This is really a lot of engineering work. It's a lot of, talking to our existing utilities department, because that's what we're talking about is creating county utilities. So I really staff would need to get together and meet, and then we could come back. But we certainly hear you, that this is important to you, and we'll be back as soon as we can.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
this is, quite frankly, this is the future for the state of Florida if we're going to continue to live here and survive, whether we want to make it our problem or not today. It's not really going to be up to us because, there's 1,000 people a day who live in the state of Florida, and every one of them want to drink water, and every one of them want to flush a toilet. So, in this, I know there's a concern about a burden, financial burden. That's why you have a board that makes decisions. You don't enter into those financial burdens, you don't burden yourself. If you're not comfortable with it, then you vote against it. And if you get outvoted at that point, it's whenever you decide you want to opt out. So that's probably something that we need to look at in the interlocal agreement. What is the opt-out clause? If the board signs up, joins up, and they feel like they're being railroaded, do we opt out? And how does that work? But there's two gentlemen in the room who are very familiar with what we're talking about right now. This may be a model for what we would have to do on the south end of the county, in the Inglis and Yankeetown, Peaceful Acres area. I know that was an area that was under study, and an area that was pointed out with the Restore Act money, $12.6 million we got for that. You know, how could we benefit different regions throughout the county? You know, obviously the issues in Cedar Key with the reef restoration and things like that are underway, but Lake LaRusso and the Willowcoochee River are impaired waterways because of all the population, all the septic tanks around those. So I know there was a study, or the concept was put out there of how to do wastewater in the unincorporated areas there, and then tie into the project that Inglis was undertaking at the time. So, as Mr. Parker pointed out, Polk County has a county-wide water system. Pretty much everything south of us and to the east of us are going to these sort of water systems, so that they can control, if you will, how much water is consumed and how it's handled on the other end. So those are just my thoughts. No preconceived ideas, no tax and spend. We do business in the sunshine here. So, thank you.
Thank you. So are we at a consensus that we're going to let staff look into this, do some more research, and come back to this
As soon as possible.
as soon as possible? Okay, very good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Martin. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioners, next item I would have is seeking direction from the board regarding budget options that county needs to consider with the resignation of the finance director from the clerk.
Okay. Very good. So I just want to, is there anyone who wants to say something? Maybe you do.
I think all of us want to say something,
Yeah.
but the clerk is also here.
Yes, and I want to thank you for being here today. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's wonderful seeing all you folks. Stan Griffiths, council, for the clerk giving me ship to hear, answer whatever questions you may have regarding this issue.
First question.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
What's your understanding of what the board is seeking to do today with this item?
So I'm not entirely clear on the subject. The matter, well, let's come back up just a little bit. I'm sure as the board knows, and you folks have a really good county attorney, they're distinct constitutional officers, the clerk of the court and board of county commissioners. Article 5 of the state constitution is one that defines the duties of the clerk of the court to include, among many of its duties, auditor, accountant, recorder, and custodian of all county funds. The budget coordinator is a position which defaults by statute to the clerk unless it is removed by the county commission, which it can establish a separate position of county budget officer. You can do that. However, those duties will never overlap what the clerk is responsible for doing. As far as the employee resigning from the clerk of court, that's an internal employee matter, and there was an employee that resigned without notice, and that's obviously someone who's going to have to be replaced. at some point in time in the not too distant future.
That's my question, Madam Chairman. The clerk's here. Mr. Shipp, what, do you have a plan in place to replace the finance director, or are you going to, I mean, what's the plan? Well, because we're coming into budget time.
Yes, assuming the county, because again, this is a budget item that was placed on today's agenda. If the county commission decides that they want to take up that, let's be clear, the clerk wishes to continue to provide that service to the county because there's utility to the county to have it in one office. Otherwise, you're creating essentially a different office or employee with FTE. So it's usually additional cost to taxpayers in the clerk's view. If the county board of county commissioners chooses to take that job assignment away from the clerk by statute, which you have a right to do, right? Then probably would not be a lot of utility in trying to hire someone to refill that vacant position. But that's entirely a decision the board is allowed to make for whatever reason it chooses.
Madam Chair. Mr. Griffiths, respectfully, I received a phone call on Monday of last week from the clerk, informing me that he was not happy with the performance of the finance director at the time. And at that point, the clerk informed me that the board could take over budget. Now, he was upset. I was out of town. I was upset that was being considered. Can't control that. Don't want to control. I want to be completely transparent. Don't have no desire to control what the clerk does on the clerk's side of the road. But, I mean, that's his business. Those are his employees, and he runs that, and does a good job of it. I'm not going to say anything disparaging about the clerk or the way he runs things. But that was presented to me personally by the clerk. I did not act on that because I asked the clerk to maybe have a couple of days to cool off, let me get back in town, and we'll discuss it then. And before I could get back to Bronson on Tuesday, the finance director had submitted his resignation. Under what terms, I do not know. But I do want to be completely transparent in the fact that the clerk did bring this issue up, that if the county wanted to budget, they could have budget. And I was very clear, and we were both understanding and very clear on that we could not do anything with auditing, we could not do any of the fiduciary responsibilities that the clerk has, comptroller, all that remains with the clerk. So I understand sometimes whenever we're angry or upset, we say things, but I just want to be transparent with the board because we cannot talk amongst ourselves. Again, sunshine, this matter has to be, or that information needs to be brought up here today. And so I'll leave it at that. So, I mean, that's what put the idea in my head.
Sure.
I will say.
So my reply to that is, you're correct, we do operate in sunshine. My suspicion is that there was an internal employee issue that you received comment on. And because there are also employment laws at issue which are not really open to the sunshine, that's probably not an appropriate subject for public discussion. The employee, for whatever reason, resigned without notice. That's as much as I'm willing to comment on in the public forum, all right? As you suggested, a few days off, some consultation with me about the path forward and what are our obligations and responsibilities. The default county budget manager under statute is the clerk of the court. That service has been provided to the citizens of Levy County for over 2 decades that we are aware of. Mr. Shipp is willing to continue to do that. And that is what we intend to do and that's our obligation to do that by statute. unless and until the board removes that obligation from Mr. Schiff, which is your prerogative. But to be clear, after consulting and calming down, that is his position, and that is what we're willing to do. If the board does not move to take that position away, then clearly we're going to be seeking someone to assist with that. That is an internal employment decision within the clerk's office, not within the purview of the board. But we will handle that.
In addition, for transparency with the board, when I became aware of this on Thursday, Mr. Dean and I set up a conference to meet here on Friday. When I came over on Friday, I called Mr. Shipp because I have deep respect for Mr. Shipp. And I urged him to meet with us and talk about it and get our county attorney in to talk about this and take care of this so that I could remove it from the agenda so that we could have this issue taken care of before it came to a public forum. And he did not. He said that he could not talk because his attorney had told him not to talk to him.
And I'll fall on the sword on that one. Part of the consideration, again, is this is an employment issue. And so what is not appropriate, even in private, is to have a session about why or gripes about an employee that is making decisions.
I think the more important was it's staff issues happen, and we get that with our HR department, it's very confidential. But the board is nervous about budget preparations beginning in April and having, what do we do now? And so I think that was more of the conversation why it was placed on the agenda today. What are we going to do? How are we moving forward? How are we going to prepare our budget? And that was the nuance.
Yes, it's the clerk's obligation,
As-
repeated and has been done in the past and by statute, and they're going to continue to do that, and that is our obligation. So, to the extent that lays any of your concerns, that's our approach.
My only question was, which was already asked, was, did you at one time say that you didn't want to do it?
No, I think if we check the phone records, I called John on a Friday right after it had happened, and I had been called there to take care of it.
No, sir, it was Monday, because I was out of town.
Okay. You was definitely out of town because you told me and you begged me not to fire him.
I said, let's not do anything until we can discuss it.
So, again, this is an internal employee issue.
No doubt.
Okay, and so that's an internal employee issue. So, the beauty about Levy County is that there's a tremendous amount of collegiality amongst all the constitutional officers. And I think people like to have the assurance that business is going to be conducted as usual. I think that is a concern of everyone and a good concern of everyone. All of us, Supervisor Fleishman, the sheriff, county judge, county commissioner, school board members, they all have a really wonderful working relationship, and this has been done in the past. But clearly, this particular issue has some emotional affect on the folks involved. And there may be, regardless of the reason for the termination, and even if the employee was terminated, which he was not, right? He was not, okay?
I'm
That
understanding
is
the
an issue.
design.
That is correct. That's not an understanding, that is a fact. Okay, that's a fact.
Mhm.
And because he's a public employee, his employment file is subject to the 119 review if you wish to do so. So, we are going to replace the employee, the budget will be prepared in a timely fashion and presented to the board unless you direct otherwise.
Madam Chairman, I have a question.
Yes.
So, you said, Mr. Stan?
Yes, sir.
A moment ago, the statutorily part of the clerk's position is set out by statute what the clerk is required to do.
Constitution, actually.
Constitutional officer, yes. There's duties that is by statute required of the constitutional officer.
That's correct.
We cannot in any way assume any of those duties. Those duties have to stay with the constitutional officer.
That's correct.
But as far as the duties that do not have to be with the constitutional officer, we can assume that role. We can assume those duties. In no way, shape, form, or fashion, any violation being committed.
So, the statute at issue is 129.025. Yes.
Yes.
Okay? And it allows, the default within the statute is.
Can you tell me what that statute says?
I'll be happy to read it.
You're
verbatim.
looking down like you.
I have some notes, but if you were gonna
I
ask me.
have it right here. It says each Board of County Commissioners may designate a county budget officer to carry out the duties set forth in this chapter. Unless the board designates a different officer, the clerk of the circuit court or county comptroller, if applicable, shall be the budget officer for the purposes of this chapter. The legislature finds that the duties of the county budget officer set forth in this chapter do not fall within the constitutional responsibilities performed by several clerks of the circuit court as auditor and custodian of county funds. The position of the county budget officer shall not constitute an office in the meaning of Section 5, Article 3 of the state constitution. I also want to mention that in doing some research, we've checked with the Florida Association of Counties, and it seems that over 77% of the counties in the state of Florida have a county budget officer underneath the BOCC.
Sure.
Just for the boards.
And I haven't done that research, Madam Chair. My suspicion is that larger counties with larger budgets probably have that as an independent office, and that smaller counties, particularly those in the North Florida Panhandle area, are probably ones who continue to utilize the services of the clerk and the comptroller, just so that the board is aware. The clerk is also the comptroller for the county funds. Any other questions that the board may have regarding this subject?
How many employees do we pay salary for in finance? Mr. Dean, or?
I'm sorry, is that a question for on the board side or
Or
the
the
clerk
board
side?
side question, I do believe. How many do we have?
We pay, I believe, part of all of 8 positions in the board of clerk.
That deal with finance? We have 8. Currently. We have 8 that we pay half of their salary.
And it is kind of a mixed bag on the ones that have stayed under the clerk. There are quite a few of the mid-range counties like us that do have that budget under them. And I have that list of the counties that currently still have it under the clerk's office.
Any of our neighboring counties?
It appears that Dixie still does it under the clerk.
Gilchrist?
Gilchrist does it.
About Citrus?
Citrus is not on this list, so apparently they have a budget officer.
Well, again, for the board, I would like to reiterate that this was brought to me. I don't know if anybody else got a phone call about it. But that's, again, why we're here. Because I guess after the meeting on Friday, whenever you met, I don't know. Some direction is needed. Without a doubt. But I'm not here to supersede the clerk. That's not my goal. Anybody who says otherwise is telling a lie. And I'll leave it at that. So, I don't know why everybody's looking at me. I guess because I'm talking, but.
Now, and the reason I called the clerk is because I think a lot of clerks want to consider what he thought first and foremost.
I don't have any more questions from Mr. Stitt, but if it was to move forward, and the board hires somebody, I do have questions. So,
Go ahead.
I mean, I'm good with Mr. Ship. I'm just, with him continue doing, but if the board decides to move forward, then I have questions.
Matt, do you have any more questions?
Well, I guess hearing what I'm hearing, it kind of clears a lot of stuff up on how we kind of came about to where we are today. It is sad because for 7 or 8 years, we've enjoyed really good guidance. It's been touted by this board, all constitutionals, all directors, and a lot of people in the local media of what a great job our finance director did. So I hate to see that come to pass. But if it's this board's desire to consider another option, I would ask direction be given to staff to give us all options that's going to best serve our county and not just one option. So if that's the pleasure of the route that the board wants to go to, I'm fine with that. I'm not ready to move on any one in particular thing today. I don't feel comfortable with that. But again, I'll just restate that we've had a lot of great success over the past 7 or 8 years with our budget, with our county finances and investments. And that's in large part to Mr. Shipp and his office and the director in the finance department. So I just want to do what's best for all the citizens and have all the options laid on the table if this is something we're really going to take up.
Well, and I agree with that statement, and I want to hear that we, the county, our department heads have relied for a while on the staff at the clerk's office to help us prepare budgets and get things in line.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I don't think it's unheard of as duties of the clerk, statutorily being clerk to the board, that we are kept in the loop on what the plan is. If we're going to hire, or if he's going to hire another staff member, or if he's going to do it with the staff he has, or is he going to go to a third party outside? I mean, for comfort, preparing the budget, I would like to know what that plan is whenever he decides where the direction it's going to move in.
Sure. I don't think that's an unreasonable request. Obviously,
I don't either, I wouldn't have made it.
No, I understand. No, what I'm saying is that there's but this item is placed on the agenda today. It's important that if the clerk is going to hire additional staff for this purpose, that we ensure that this is something that's still going to be his obligation, because it would be unfair, obviously, to go through that process and hire someone, particularly with the looming budget deadlines that are coming up, just to have them terminated at next month's meeting because you decided to move to a different direction. So that's our concern. So, but we're obviously going to have some conversations personally.
This is sort of why I wanted to talk Friday.
Yeah, I understand.
For sure, 100% why, so that we would know, and so that we would know where the clerk wanted to go and how, what that we should do. And me coming into this blindly, I had no idea there was a conversation. I just knew there was a lot going on, and that's why I called Mr. Andy and I said, what's going on? And he did mention to me that he had talked to John when we spoke on that.
All right. One last question for the clerk, Madam Chair.
Yes.
So for guidance, I guess, or for clarification, the director of finance is no longer there, but there's a distinct job description and performance of the director of finance versus a budget officer. So I guess my question is the clerk still going to hire a director of finance to replace the empty position to perform finance oversight? Or in lieu of, if the board moves forward with a consideration for outside budget officer, is the clerk not going to pursue hiring of a director of finance? Because there's a lot of different duties that don't overlap.
That's correct. And again, unless and until the board takes that obligation away from the clerk, it is his obligation to do that, regardless of the title that's given to the employee that's ultimately hired. But that is the clerk's responsibility to perform that obligation under that particular statute we set.
hire a director of finance
Yes, sir.
regardless.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
None at this time, but
All right.
know where to find you if I need you.
All right, thank y'all very much for having the opportunity to consider today.
Thank you. Pleasure.
It's the pleasure of the board. Yeah.
Well, we have a moving budget coming quickly.
We do.
And at the moment, we don't have anybody.
Available to assist.
Right. So, what's the pleasure of the board, I guess, per se? Or board take it over, have somebody in place to take care of our side of the budget.
Will this be continued or just be temporary till he gets somebody hired or?
That's what I want to do.
That's would be the discussion of,
That's our discussion.
would be the discussion we would need to have.
The clerk might want to come back in here.
If it's temporarily, because the budget is here, I mean, it's time, it's temporary. I'm okay with temporary, but when he hires, I would like, my opinion, to go back to the clerk.
I think, how soon are you?
I mean, can we take 2 weeks? Get the office?
I was waiting for an answer from them to see what direction. Would the board like to take 2 weeks to review?
I'd like to have options. I've stated that. I'd like to see options. I want to do what's best for the county, and, that's what this board's hired to do. I think that's what we need to do. So
I realize that time is of the essence, not to cut you off. You're right, we want to do what's best for the board, we want to do what's best for the county. So, tell us, leave us, you two.
I'm good with all.
I think,
I'm good with all.
I think we should put a deadline on it. By the first of April. Have whatever, a plan in place. Or we move forward with whatever we gotta move forward with. Because I'm gonna tell you, I was gonna bite my tongue on some stuff that we wanna play games, well, I'll play games with the best of them. If you go back to your budget, if you go back to our last agenda, we had to transfer
700,000.
a major fund balance carry forward adjustment. And why do we have to do that? Somehow we missed it in the last budget. Get it done. So, I'm concerned that we are taking a step back with the budget process. So, I don't know. I'll be the whipping boy. I don't care. Been the whipping boy before. I think if we don't have a suitable replacement in place, if the clerk does not hire a suitable replacement by April 1st, then we need to seek out our own option for a budget officer, if that's the direction this board wants to go. Again, we deal in the sunshine. We don't deal in the shadows. And we certainly don't get emotional. So, I think that's in the form of a motion.
Can you please clarify that?
My motion is to have our options on the table by April 1st, or first meeting in April.
Which one, April 1st or first meeting in April?
First meeting in April, I guess. What would be more prudent? I don't know. When is the first meeting in April?
Second, April second.
April 2nd? I think April 2nd was here.
This means that I would think that the clerk's office would meet with us, we could work things out. Is there a second for that motion?
I'll give you a second.
So it's been moved by Commissioner John Meeks and seconded by Commissioner Rock Meeks. Is there any other discussion?
I would just want to remind, the board of this process as well, that we have deadlines that we have to meet statutorily. And it is vitally important that we move swiftly at the point that the options are placed on the table. I just want to remind the board that.
When do we begin meetings with department heads?
I have that schedule that was given to us at the meeting there, and I just don't have it in hand right now. But we were actually, I think, are going to this one meeting.
We have training this week.
Yeah, training. That starts our process this week.
So listen,
Yeah.
I talked with Shauna and, she's going to go over into the training for the staff.
okay, so the motion and second before us are that we want the options on the table by the first meeting in April. Tim, did you say you had a question?
No, back to the vote.
Is there any other questions?
My question, Madam Chair, I do have a question. Does that give you time, Mr. Ship, to do a search and find a replacement or whatever you're considering your options are?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Rob, any questions?
I'm good.
You're good. No other questions, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the options on the table by the first meeting in April, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to ask one thing from each and every one of you. Did I initiate this in any way?
No, you did not.
No.
You did not initiate
No,
this.
sir.
Thank you for asking that, because I just want to clarify. It was not. Okay. Moving on to the agenda, next order of business, Levy County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff McCallum. Thank you for being here this morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
Morning, Chair. Good morning. Good morning. You recall on February the 6th, Colonel Sheffield appeared before the board requesting repairs to be done in a budget amendment for HVAC repairs and sprinkler repairs of the detention center at the jail. This morning, I'm back before you, having completed all the paperwork and the resolution 2024-11, asking for approval for those repairs and a budget amendment in the amount of $64,340. Motion approved.
Second.
Motion has been moved by Commissioner Rock Meeks and seconded by Commissioner Tim Hodge. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Okay, Marley Dale Housing Planner, who is out sick, so he will be replaced by Wilbur Dean, Levy County Coordinator.
All right, here I am requesting Levy County Board of County Commissioners approval of a deferred payment loan agreement for Mark M. Jones and Rolanda E. Jones, and it's PA 613 for a new unit in Williston, Florida. The address is 971 Northeast 150 Court, Williston, Florida. The price of the unit is $335,000. The household is requesting $30,000 in assistance for the purchase of this unit.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion approved by Commissioner Rob Meeks and a second by Commissioner John Meeks. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Thank you. Levy County Development, David Meyer, Development Director.
Good morning, Mr. David.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Hope all you board members are having a good day. So this way.
Been good so far.
All right, I'm requesting the Levy County Board of County Commissioners approval of appropriation reserves in the amount of $89,300 for a new code enforcement officer position and professional services for utilizing the magistrate.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rock Meeks. Do I hear a second? Second by Commissioner Tim Hodge. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, I have a few questions.
Okay.
Director Myers, morning. A question on this position pertains to specifically for utilizing special magistrate. Can you, for the benefit of the board and the public, I guess explain the addition to this and how it is effective with special magistrate?
All right, well, all of our code enforcement cases were taken to special magistrate, and it costs money to pay him to do the job.
Okay, so this code enforcement officer position will deal directly with those cases that are going to go before the special magistrate.
That's correct. This county is way too big for Dave to try to handle it by himself. Mr. Janelle takes care of all the paperwork and phone calls in the office and stuff, and we just need one more person on there to help Dave.
Understood. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any further questions?
No, this position is definitely needed.
Yes, for sure. Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Levy County Library, Ms. Darlene Slattery. Good morning.
Good morning, how's everyone today?
Good, how are you?
Good. It's another beautiful day in Levy County. All right, I am requesting the Levy County Board of County Commissioners approval to purchase 70 shelves off the National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance Agreement. Excuse me, contract number 07-85 in the amount of $35,566.05.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner John Meeks and a second by Commissioner Tim Hodge. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yes, Ms. Slattery, for the benefit of the public on this item, can you please explain where these shelves will be utilized?
These shelves are going to be utilized in the Cedar Key Library that has been out of commission since Hurricane Idalia. When they went in and gutted the building, the shelves were damaged and they were not reusable. So I had to wait until the Cedar Key Library was completed construction-wise and ready before I could order the shelving. So this will purchase the new shelving so we can get the library back in functioning hopefully soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too. Levy County Emergency Management, John McDonald, Director.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What I have before y'all this morning is requesting board approval for the 2023 statewide two-way agreement. The last time this was addressed was back in 2018, and we did a resolution for 2019-041. Basically, what they've done is nothing has really changed in the mutual aid agreement. They're just wanting a new set of fresh signatures and all that because board chairs change and commissioners change and all that. So that's the reason for this.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner John Meeks and a second by Commissioner Rob Meeks. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes.
Thank you.
Don't run off, John, unless you got something to do. I mean, today.
I'm good. No.
I want you to stay there.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Levy County Park and Recreation, Matt Wellman.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Matt.
This morning I'm requesting approval of the statewide, I'm requesting the Levy County Board of County Commissioners approval of resolution 2024-4 for submission of the FPIP grant for the Shell Mound Dredge Project Phase 2. The amount is $869,460. This is Phase 2, the actual construction of that project.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rock Meeks and a second by Commissioner Tim Hodge. Are there any discussions?
Just one question, Madam Chair.
Yes.
How did the first part of that project come out?
Went great, you know, the engineering and all that, accomplished, got all the studies done. We applied last February for phase 2, which one gets funded, funded 5 projects in the state. So now this is, the following February, we're reapplying.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Thank you. Levy County Road Department, Alice Levon.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Good. My item, I'm not gonna read it as just an agenda because it's a little different. I wanna talk about 347 Turkeytown Road. We originally, in our agreement, we were going to pay half the road. We're gonna do a change order for DOT to pay the entire road. Ms. Nicole had noticed on my agenda item, I did not have it, it wasn't correct. We didn't draw it up correct, we didn't have the right contract that we're amending. We're actually amending our construction contract with Anderson. So we're gonna get that corrected and get it back to you for signatures. And the budget, because we're over budget, $460,127.66. I have that listed on here to come out of our impact fees to come up with the funds to finish the project. But DOT has offered up $1 million to us for 3 of our projects that we're over budget on. We just have to figure out which one to put the money towards, because we have one project we haven't finished our bidding out to, get it put out to bid yet. They said once we finish that, then come back to them and then tell them where to put the money to. So we may not use the impact fee funds for this project, we may use FDOT funds. So they're gonna hold the money for us.
Great.
So, we do have the money to cover the project, it will get done, the whole road will be done. We'll get you the amended, change order to you for the chair to sign to complete the whole project. Because we don't know.
The whole road's better than half a road.
Yes,
Always.
especially if this road, as Commissioner Rockweeks can tell you, he's gotten blown up about this road. It is-
He ain't the only one who's looking
No,
at
we
it.
have to, yes.
Well, and just for history of the road, and the over budget part that you just stated a moment ago, because of all of the agencies that, for whatever reason, decided that it was important to get involved in that road, and then the federal government got involved in the, permitting of the wetlands under that road that they somehow now own, and our road's going through their wetlands, it's been there for,
Yeah.
I don't know how long.
So we have widened the project.
Is the reason, and just so you guys know, I know Ms. House was gonna mention this, is probably gonna get blown up over it. Because the federal government owns those wetlands, we can't widen the road to match the other side of the road that's gonna be on the north side of 27. Just so the board's aware that, get ready, why did y'all not widen that part of the road? But that is the reason why. And that held the ground up. That held us up long enough that the cost of the road project almost doubled, and that's why we're over budget.
Yes.
Which I know you guys know that, but I'm just,
Well,
for the public.
also don't forget that this road was on the 5-year work plan and then disappeared.
They took it off.
And we had to put it back on the 5-year work
Yeah,
plan.
we had to request it and get it back.
And just let me add how simple what was being requested, not to add additional culverts or anything else. It was only to add an extension to the existing culvert. It wasn't like we were proposing, or the engineers were proposing, to change up everything. It was only adding length to the culverts.
We weren't trying to add additional water into our own ditches.
Yeah, we weren't gonna dig in, we weren't gonna dig the culverts out and put new culverts, and we were just expanding them to widen the road to 24 foot?
Yes.
22 or 24?
24 foot,
I think it's 24.
yeah.
Madam Chair? I think Commissioner Rock needs to answer my question, but just to clarify, So this will actually be widened as well as resurfaced?
No, we're just resurfacing the road.
I was like, man, this is.
345 will be
I can't
wide.
believe they're doing that.
345 will be wide, but 347 will not.
Okay,
That's what he was
I
talking about,
misunderstood.
why you get complaints of, why is 345 wide, and 347 is not, when they're directly across from each other.
Yeah,
This is why.
this is why. Who would have ever guessed there's that way going over the federal government? And it's not even like they're, like,
Yes,
it's just ditches that run under the.
Well, there's the one place, there's the one box culvert down there.
Yeah.
Well, they even said that the ditches where our water were drained off the road was their water.
Yeah, the actual
Where we
road.
were mowing was there.
I think Mr. Asmus might have something. You have something on, Madam Chair, is that appropriate? You just look like you were ready to run up here.
Morning, Commissioner, Mr. Chair. Just clarification, so the existing lanes that are out there now are 9-foot lanes, and through Proclamation, it's gonna be 10-foot lanes. And then the shoulder widths are gonna basically be within the bare minimum of the guiding criteria, which is 6 to 4 feet. So it's just gonna be a narrower typical out there, but it is gonna be wide. It'll be 5 foot.
Okay.
That's from 19 to 27.
Yes. Yes.
And then when it skips across 27, it'll be the actual.
11 foot, yes.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
with,
Yeah, with the watch. It's gonna look kind of funny, but that's what it is, right?
You better run.
Hey, we gotta have, hey, we'll take what we can get on this one, for sure.
That's right.
It's been 6 years,
Long time,
6 years ago.
longer than that, since Bruce left.
Yeah, I guess he was involved.
It's been
In a while.
11 years. It was on the 5-year work plan. I got it.
Well, hey, we're getting it done. That's the silver line. We're getting it done.
We'll bring you back the corrected change order, and I'll have Mr. Alley look it over, and I will bring it back to you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Levy County procurement, Alicia Truckleback. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
How are you?
The first item I have for you is requesting the Levy County Board of County Commissioners approval to appropriate reserves contingency in the amount of $34,200 for tower leases. There was an increase in rental leases previously approved by the BOCC on 2/6 and on 2/20.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner John Meeks.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Matt Brooks. Is there any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes.
Thank you. The second item I have before you is requesting the Levy County Board of County Commissioners approval of Resolution 2024-12, amending the final budget for fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $56,121 for the Williston Tower project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rob Meeks and a second by Commissioner John Meeks. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes.
My last item I have is requesting the Levy County Board of County Commissioners approval of task assignment 2024-2 between Levy County and ECS Florida LLC for preliminary threatened and endangered species assessment, preliminary wetlands determination, and environmental permitting services for the Gulf Hammock Pit in the amount of $58,500.
Motion to approve, second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rob Meeks and a second by Commissioner Tim Hodge.
I have a question from Ms. Cooper.
Ms. Cooper, do you have a question?
Linda Cooper, Williston. This is for the permitting for the Hammock Rock Pit, which has been, according to DEP records, closed since February 13th of '23. We're now paying a consulting firm $58,500 to bring this permit up to where we can open it again. We have an engineer that we're paying $51 an hour to provide this. I'm assuming it's his job, and even if it's not, since the pit's been closed by DEP on the 13th of February 23, why are we just now addressing this? There's no blasting, no digging. I did a records request asking if it was open or closed, and they implied it was open, and they're crushing rock supposedly and stockpiling it. But the problem is this has been closed by DEP for blasting and digging, which means we are not adding to our stockpiles, putting us in jeopardy of not having enough rock and maybe buying any market prices. So again, this goes back to shooting from the hip. A year later, our permit has not been approved. You sit up there with approving permits for other folks, sand pits, whatever, and we can't even get our own house in order.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
if I can address this, take some notes.
Don't be condescending, John.
I'm not, because I don't write nasty things on the internet about people. We've been working on this permit with DEP. Andrew has diligently for over a year. He has submitted multiple applications. He has answered their questions multiple times.
Yes.
Every time he submits an answer or we think that we have accomplished what we're trying to do, they come back with more questions, and then they change leadership. They change direction. The person that you're replying to changes. So it has become more complicated, unfortunately, than what he can handle and Mr. Andrew can handle, and still maintain all his other day-to-day duties. So yes, this is unfortunate that we're having to pay this money, but we probably should have done it from the beginning.
That's my point.
So you ought to also think about, we also got to consider now that this permit process started under our old county engineer, and he worked on it for a couple of years, and we didn't get it accomplished. So it is a perfect storm, if you will, of DEP regulations, maybe Andrew not having the expertise in permitting a mine that is a blasting mine, and dealing with government bureaucracy. But I don't think that this board or any of the leadership has done anything wrong. And again, it is a DEP problem, not a Levy County problem. DEP has changed exponentially since the last time we applied for a permit at the rock pit back in the 90s.
A year is not acceptable. I'm sorry. If you cannot get this done in the first 6 months, you should have already addressed this and realized you were in over your head. This is, again, excuses and last-minute action, and it's just
Again,
not acceptable.
during the process, whenever you submit your answers to DEP, and it takes them 6 months to respond to you.
Not based on all of these records I'm seeing here, no.
So,
So those are just excuses, and it's a failure on this board's part and management to get the job done properly, and the taxpayers are footing the bill for all of this. Y'all are writing the checks and we're paying the bills, and we're actually kind of tired of all of this mismanagement of employees and resources. And the proof is right here in the documents from DEP. It doesn't take over a year to get this done. You wouldn't have found this acceptable from any other applicant with those excuses you just made. So again, failures on management and leadership.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Is there any further discussion? Do we have a motion? Yeah, okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
And next we have Levy County Planning and Zoning, Stacy Hectus.
close out. Oh, yeah, I know how to do it. I did it all last night. Food was so bad.
Good morning, thanks for your patience. So we have our first item on the agenda, quasi-judicial hearing of petition FP 2307 G&G Alliance. And I think before we go any further, I have to ask if Nicole can ask if there have been any ex parte on this quasi-judicial item. This is G&G Alliance, final plat 2307. And it's located here in the area of the county. And here's the aerial. Just to give you reference. You saw this 4 months ago as a preliminary plat. It's coming to you as a final. Any ex parte?
Not that I'm aware of.
I have another
No.
Madam Chair.
Okay. All right. Well, the request is Steve McMillan of McMillan Survey representing Gloria Danner petitioning the commission for a final plat, G&G Alliance, to correct an unlawful split of 14.6 acres more or less. Said parcel is located in section 19, township 11, range 15, in Levy County, Florida, and has a land use and zoning of agricultural rural residential, which is a 10-acre minimum. And the parcel ID number is 01585. 00000. And there's the plat, and this is what you saw a few months ago when it came to preliminary. They've met all the requirements for final, and the applicant's representative is here if you need to speak with him. Just making it buildable.
No question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Questions? Anyone has any questions?
Just for our benefit on this is correcting and reminding everybody, this is correcting an unlawful split of
Yes.
14.6 acres.
That is correct. In order to get their building permit, or to even, I think the person realized it when they were getting ready to sell it, and we brought it to their attention, and they're like, well, we don't want to sell this to somebody that can't get a building permit. So we gave them the avenues on how to create it, or maybe Steve did first, and then they came to us to start the process.
Okay, we're gonna open the public hearing. Does anyone on the left side of the room have a comment? Seeing none, anyone in the center have a comment? Anyone on the right side of the room? Public hearing is closed.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rocknees, and second. John Meeks, motion. Okay. Motion to approve by Commissioner John Meeks, second by Commissioner Rocknees. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none, motion passes.
Thank you. Our second quasi-judicial hearing is FP 2308, Garboski Acres. And this one is located roughly this area of the county. And after I read the request, I'll ask you if there's any ex parte, because I don't know that I was clear before. This is 2308, Mr. Steve McMillan, surveyor, representing Gary Garboski, petitioning the commission for a final plat, Garboski Acres, to divide 37.836 acres, more or less, into two parcels, a 15-acre parcel and a 21-acre parcel. Said parcel is located in section 32, township 12, and range 19 of Levy County, Florida, and has a land use of medium density residential, zoning of R2, parcel number 04836000200. And there's the plat that you saw a few months ago in preliminary plat. It is here meeting all the requirements for the final plat. The question that was raised by the planning commission is, how does the rear lot get access? There is a road back there, if you can see where the shaded gray is right below it. That's their access to the rear lot, and then the other one is off the main road. The applicant's representative is here if you have any questions, and I can hear if you need any other questions for me.
Any questions?
I have none.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone on the left side of the room? Seeing none. The center? Seeing none. The right side? None. Hearing's closed.
Sorry, I forgot to ask again. Is there any ex parte on this one?
I have no ex parte report.
Fantastic.
Okay. Pleasure of the board.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rob Meeks and a second by Commissioner Tim Hodge. All those in favor? Well, is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so our third item on the agenda this morning is another final plat. This one is, actually, I apologize, the final plat is next. This is the subdivision variance request, 2401. This is the general location, sorry. Oh, sorry, I apologize. Let me project it. There we go, sorry about that. So here is the map, and here's the general location of the project. This is one that you saw probably a year and a half ago. This one actually had to have a road built for it, so that obviously takes a lot longer between preliminary and final. But this is for the subdivision variance application for 2401. Here's the location and the zoning of the area. So again, Mr. McMillan is here representing Joshua Ryan Morrison and Lindsay Morrison, Robert Norwood Terrell Jr., and Michelle Marie Terrell, and Robert C. Morrison, and Georgia Morrison, petitioning the commission for a subdivision variance, plural, to the Levy County Land Development Code, sections 50-578B, 50-581, and 50-583M. These variances are required as part of the final plat approval, which is the next item, to subdivide 40 acres more or less into 3 parcels containing approximately 10 acres more or less. Parcel is located in section 13, township 11 south, range 17 east in Levy County, Florida, near the Alachua County line. Said parcel has a land use and zoning of 8RR agricultural rural residential, which is a 10-acre minimum, and the parcel number is 0314702-800. So before I move into the background, we brought this to the Planning Commission in January. They ended up approving this, and then after the meeting, we found some discrepancies in going forward from preliminary to final. So I'll go through those as we through the presentation here. The proposed M&T Family Homestead subdivision is a 3-lot subdivision on approximately 40 acres. Access to the parcel is via 50-foot wide ingress and egress easement, which was established by previous landowner prior to splitting the 40-acre tract out of a larger tract. The easements provided access to approximately 14 large acreage tracts to an existing paved county road northeast 130th Avenue. The roadway within the easement is described as a dirt lime rock road. The preliminary plat for M&T Homestead was applied for, reviewed by staff and the Planning Commission, and approved by the Board of County Commissioners. The required construction of a roadway interior to the subdivision has been constructed per the preliminary plat approval. The applicant is now seeking a final plat of the subdivision. The Planning Commission reviewed the final plat in January. During that review, the question of the access to the property was raised by the Commission and the County Attorney. The Planning Commission voted to recommend final plat to the Board of County Commissioners. Additional review concluded that some provisions of the code did not appear to be met. Staff recommended that a variance be requested in accordance with section 50-497A to waive specific provisions of the code to allow the final plat to be presented to the Board of County Commissioners. As such, the variance request and final plat are being resubmitted to the Planning Commission last night. for recommendation on the variance and final plat. The recommendation on the variance and the final plat will then be presented to you, and that's why we're here today, because last night they saw it last night. Their vote was 4-0 and for approval for the subdivision variance. The requested variance is from the 3 sections I mentioned earlier, and this is the actual final plat that was moved forward from preliminary to final with their constructed road in that shaded area in the middle between lots 1 and 2 to get access to lot 3, the third one in the bottom there. So staff's recommendation is the variance be granted and the final plat to be approved as the applicant received approvals for the preliminary plat and proceeded to construct a roadway based on this approval. The applicant has constructed the required roadway within the property proposed subdivision, and as established, the applicant is the maintenance entity for the roadway within the subdivision based on the approval of the preliminary plat. So that's a lot. If you have any questions, I can answer some of those, and if not, I have Andrew and Alex here as well.
Madam Chair, I got a couple of questions. Did everyone see the letter in the packet or in our agenda about the person questioning allowing them to use the
Mr. Rice, yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
other easement?
yes.
And I guess,
Sorry, let me go back.
why did they, while you're here, why did they split it that way? Why didn't they split it into,
So they wanted
is
to,
there something in the middle, a central feature that they're trying to all enjoy, or?
no, they originally wanted to do 4 lots, but they're 39 point something acres. And so they wanted to maximize the amount of lots. And I guess there was a discrepancy between, a couple wanted bigger lots and only, was it the lot?
You couldn't make
depth?
lines, gotcha.
Couldn't make, divided
Was
up.
it the lot with the depth that we had to?
They wanted to face it.
They wanted to.
It's a family. And if you put them, then they're all facing north.
Right.
So they went to the expense of building this road coming in, which is a doozy of a road,
So they all seem
to do it properly, and then they can face each other and.
So it's like a cul-de-sac at the end, and they're all, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just seeing that, we've seen that before, but in that situation, there was like a pond, or there was a body of water that everybody wanted to have connection to. I was just curious as to why they chose that configuration, but, okay, makes sense.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I got a question on the road thing. About the road. Is that, this road, is it, you said they had built one up, is that mandatory that they come in and have to build this road to a certain specs?
The center shaded area that will feed the 3 lots. You can't have a flag lot, you can't have a 2-road going to the southern or lot 3. You had to, by the code, you have to build a 22-foot wide line rock side swale ditches, surveying, engineering, permitting, and they did all that to get the look that they want.
My question is, why do they have to build that?
It's in the code.
I mean, if this is a family and
They didn't qualify for the homestead density because it's not parent, it wasn't a parent parcel at the time. So they had to plat.
that's where the plat comes from.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess my question is, they built a road before any of this is approved?
No,
The
preliminary plat was approved
Okay.
with the proposed
Okay.
road.
Okay.
Engineering, surveying, that's why the year and a half has passed. Construction has to be completed, permits have to be closed, which they've done,
Thank you.
and then now we're at final plat finishing it up.
Timeline's more clear now.
So they can pull their permits and build their house.
Okay, any further questions? No. Okay, so we'll open the public hearing. Are those on the left side of the room? Anyone in the center? Anyone on the right side? Public hearing is closed. It's a pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rock Meeks and a second by Commissioner Tim Hodge. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes.
not have been hearing this item had that last one not passed. So we're going into the final plat, which is what you have just seen on the, yes?
I have ex parte.
Okay. Perfect, so. On the plat? Yes. And I think Nicole has to ask you some questions. Anyone else?
I was contacted at the very beginning to ask if they were required to plat, or what the process was, was the question that was asked.
So per the board's rules, if the ex parte were verbal communications, you should disclose the subject and the identity of the person, group, or entity with whom you communicated. And if they were written communications, you enter a copy of the written communications into the record.
I did not directly receive ex parte. My wife is friends with one of the applicants, and they texted her last night. And she told me about it this morning, that they were asking questions. That's as far as it got. I didn't read it or anything, but I am aware of it, so I want to report it.
Then you should indicate if you're able to be in an impartial
Yes,
position.
ma'am.
I have no expert there.
All right. So this project, as you know from the last presentation, the location and the zoning, and I don't know if you want me to read the final plat stuff in, but do I need to do it if I read it for the SBA, all the details?
No, I'm not allowed. That's a legal requirement.
Okay, perfect. So nothing changed there. It's still 3 lots. The road is now improved, and they're asking for the final plat approval. Again, applicant's representative is here as well.
Okay, again, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone on the left side of the room? Anyone in the center? Anyone on the right side of the room? Public hearing is closed. It's the pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rod Meeks and a second by Commissioner Tim Hodge. Any further discussion? Oh, by Matt. Sorry. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, motion passes. Thank you.
All right, I have one last item, and that is seeking approval from the Board of County Commissioners as a request from the Planning Commission to facilitate a joint meeting between the Levy County Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners. We've had quite a few fun-filled public planning commission meetings, and they have some topics that they would like to discuss with you that I placed in the information on the agenda pack. I have a longer list of things, or a list I can go through if you need me to, on the things that they want to discuss. And they would also like to see if maybe going forward, we can schedule 2 meetings with joint meetings annually and have them on the calendar and go forward and have it like spring and fall or something along those lines, where they just have these meetings scheduled to have these joint conversations with you all. We're seeking a date. See if you all have a date or a couple dates I can bring back to them. And I know your calendars are busy. I told them it probably wouldn't be until June or July, but.
How long a meeting are they wanting to have? Like an hour?
Yeah, they have, they have a few topics that they want to, some that they would like to re-engage in, others that they have, knowing that the comprehensive plan rewrite is coming around the corner for the sunset of 2026. They would like to maybe discuss some things like agritourism and agriculture land preservation, some different things regarding growth moving forward. They are, some of the things that they brought up was something that Commissioner Meeks and I talked about, which was the Chiefland annexation and how that will impact the county. And so they wanted to just have a conversation. I'm thinking you could keep it to an hour, hour and a half. a couple times a year.
I'm all about, Madam Chair,
Yes.
I mean, I'm all about collaboration and, trying to plot out the course for the county. Let's have a purpose. I don't think set meetings just to say we set meetings, let's have a purpose. So I wouldn't be opposed to meeting, of course, but I don't think just setting up 2 times a year is something I would do.
Okay.
Have a topic.
Well, they do want to meet at least once, so to discuss the things that they have spelled out to me, which I just kind of mentioned briefly, some of those items. And we can set that date and discuss those items. And I'm guessing there'll probably be a couple more that get brought up as you all talk.
Do we want to meet in the evening to accommodate their schedules, because they're kind of, at will volunteers, most of the events?
Sure.
I mean, I know that puts a burden on you and your staff, but
We're here to make these, it's what our job is, so. Do we want to put it with another BOCC meeting and do a whole wonderful day of it, where you can meet in the morning and,
No.
I was gonna say we could do the September evening meeting, but there's usually a lot of, there's already a lot of items on that, and we'd be into the wee hours.
Let's just,
can we meet on a Monday night?
that's what I was going to say. We got Monday nights free. What on Mondays?
Sure, except unless it's a planning commission night.
Well, yeah, but they used to be on a Monday schedule.
Yes. So should I take, should I look at some Mondays? I don't wanna mix, wanna give us some dates to look at? And then I can email the board and let them know what the date is and get Ally to put it on the calendar?
I can get all the board calendars to her and then bring it back.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, Mondays are pretty open.
All right.
The only day.
And if you look in like our review email, so like September-ish?
I was saying June, July, but
Okay.
you all might have that busy of a schedule where we can't get it in until. Okay. I'll get with Wilbur and get those corresponding schedules and see what looks good, and then get a confirmation from them to send to you all for a date on a Monday evening.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks for getting that started. I agree with Commissioner Brooks. Anytime we can collaborate and do things for the citizens is best. It's a good idea. All right, so we've reached our second public comment portion of the agenda. Is there anyone who would like to speak? I'm sure there is. Come on. All right, seeing none. We'll move on to recognizing elected officials. Since I skipped you two last time, how about Yankeetown goes first this time?
Vice Mayor?
Yes?
Town, Gary Fuller. I have nothing to say other than we're having a meeting coming up Thursday. And we've got your business development man, Skylar coming down.
Yes.
Good. And, we're looking to do the same things as the county, we're looking to go to the next level. Good.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, who else? Miss Sue from Bronson?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Morning.
Just because you mentioned it, Scott O'C actually approached me on Friday morning as we were going into the North Florida Economic Development Partnership meeting. We have apparently there's a business who's interested in coming to Bronson, unincorporated Bronson. So we're in discussions right now about the possibility of annexing our 27 toward Williston. It's right after Tammy Jones' property, just to let you know. So very early stages, but we're also, everybody's sort of talking about annexing right now. So a couple things for the board. The next Waukesasa Water and Wastewater Cooperative Board meeting is Wednesday, March 20th at 1 o'clock. It's in Cedar Key. I will get you guys information, the wetland solutions, feasibility study, the interlocal agreement, the things you guys asked for. I will make sure I get that to you. The Better Together Job Fair over at First Baptist Church is Thursday, March 21st at 10 o'clock in the morning. Hopefully we'll get a good turnout for that. And then the next Birth of the Mighty Food Bank mobile food drive is Friday the 22nd at 9:30 at the park. The other thing I wanted to update the board on tonight, well actually last night at the Bronson Town Council meeting, the board approved a potential interlocal agreement between the town of Bronson and the city of Williston for animal control. Councilor Voorhees and I are actually going before the city council in the city of Williston tonight to discuss it with the board over there as well. But it's something that we've been urged to look at, because I know the county's having difficulties with their shelter being full all the time. So hopefully that's a good outcome for both entities. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Jason Whistler, property appraiser. Okay, I know Michelle Langford is out sick, so she's not here. Anyone else? Any other elected officials? Seeing none. Commissioners' reports. Matt, would you like to go first?
Sure, Madam Chair, thank you. As I mentioned before, Williston varsity boys basketball went down to Lakeland, and they won their back-to-back state championship. I just wanted to thank the entire county and community. One thing I can say, that no matter if you're, Chiefland Indian, Bronson Eagle, or Williston Red Devil, listen, when those kids go to a state, or finals, we're all supporting, the home team, and I think that's a testament to our county just, coming together and being able to rally and support them. We raised a lot of money in 1 week to send them down there, and the kids not have to, and the parents not have to worry about paying for a thing, and that's another thing that I just want to thank the community for, is just coming together to, cheer them on and let the kids know we're behind 100%. That happens, all over the county, so I want to make mention of that. And it's really all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to tell you, thank you for organizing that. That's some of the duties that a lot of us do, is save organization of money and doing things for the youth and other organizations that sometimes goes unnoticed because people don't realize it.
Well,
But thank you very much.
Once upon a time, believe it or not, I played basketball at Wilson High School. So I've got an affinity with alumni to help support them as well. So it's my favorite sport.
You get your championship?
Yeah. Just one conference. No state.
Commissioner Hodge, would you like to? Okay. John Meeks?
Madam Chairman, I've got a lot to talk about, but I'm only going to talk about one thing, and I know it's a little bit, I'm going to talk about two things. That's a little high. It's a little bit preliminary, but talking to our consultant that we hired, Liberty Partners, this morning, we have been budgeted for $10.9 million to renovate our EOC and create a 911 center. So unless the governor's veto pen gets us, we're going to get that done. And the sheriff doesn't laugh, but Billy's dropping his phone, he can't believe it.
He's trying to text the sheriff.
So again, like I say, it's preliminary. Last night it looked like we were going to get about $8.5 million, but this morning they come through. Whenever I checked, they said that the whole 10.9's been funded. So we will be able to, again, barring the governor's pen, we will be able to get that done. So I think that deserves a round of applause.
Absolutely.
And then I don't know if y'all received your email from Mr. Bohannon.
Yes.
But does somebody want to take the point on that? Because I think it's important that we do partner with these rebuild folks. I think we take some of the load off of Marlin, and these folks have some innovative ways to make sure that our funding gets spent. Because what happens, from my understanding, is we're able to spend the really low-income money pretty easily, but it's some of the we're able to spend the moderate income money pretty easily. It's the really low-income money that we have a struggle with, because those folks typically don't qualify for loans. A lot of them don't own houses, so they're renting, so you can't get these funds to work on rental houses. And we unfortunately had a habit of sending money back. And I'd like to see us stop doing that. I'd like to see if this money's allocated and appropriated for Levy County, I'd like to see it all get spent right here. So I'm asking, I don't want to take it on. My wagon is already overflowing. But is there somebody who would be willing to meet with this gentleman or meet with him and Marlon? Or, I mean, I don't know, have him come to the AHAC meeting? I don't know.
That's
But
what I was gonna recommend.
I think this is a good opportunity, and we don't need to pass it up.
I'll talk with Marlon, I'll get with Marlon and see if we can get him come to the AHAC meeting. And, I mean, because really the two are really intertwined. Shit, this, and,
Well, the last meeting that he was here, presented to us.
this is information.
Yeah, the request that I had made was if they had another agreement, which they do with another county, was to see what that agreement looked like. They're already working in our county.
Right.
So in a more official capacity, and just like, Mr. Bohannon stated, they can leverage dollars, and they go after dollars as well, so just having a larger impact. But I think it's a good fit for AHAC committee, and, you know, that's something that was definitely of interest.
In addition, when I was down in Yankeetown last week, I passed his information on to them so that they can call and utilize the plug down there and get some assistance. And I think if we do that with the municipalities, that will ensue. Is that all, John?
All I have.
Really?
Told you I want to do two things. What, $10.9 million ain't enough? Golly, man.
No, I know, but I've been excited about that. I've been talking to Susie at Keith's office all week about that.
They finally got off their tail on
Oh,
the city
they
side.
were.
So, thank you,
We
yeah.
have faith.
So, yeah, I guess you're right, I should say that. Thank you to Representative Clemens and Senator Perry on process cap.
Yes.
It
We're
looked,
working hard
it
for
looked
us.
very hairy there for a little while.
How about Commissioner Rock meets?
I don't have anything to report from them, Madam Chairman.
So for me, I don't have much, but I do want to say that thank you to Florida's governor for coming to Cedar Key and bringing us $2.5 million out of $4 million that he gave to the state. He gave 2.5 to Cedar Key, and that was wonderful. It's going to help Cedar Key out a lot. It was for the lift stations. In addition, while he was there, he spelled out that he gave $700,000 to the cleaners. Just different funds that they utilized to pull a lot of money together for our area. I met with Yankeetown last week so that we could collaborate on how Yankeetown can begin to pull in some money from different areas. And I found out from Matt, Director of Parks and Recreation, that the state gave back $464,000 to finish the project that we ran out of money on down at the end of Highway 40, something that Commissioner Meeks worked on before I came on board. So thank you for that. Let's see, there's something else that I wanted to talk to you all about. I'm working with the construction and maintenance department to do a lot of cleanup around here. And I would like to clean up the building. It used to be the cafeteria when I went to school here. There's a lot of furniture. Yeah, a lot of furniture and stuff in that front room where the beautiful windows are. And I would like to clean up. I mean, my idea is let's go ahead and gut these buildings and clean up and get rid of extra stuff. And unfortunately, when we called Weeks, they don't have a use for those old picnic table booth style bench things. And I just want to make sure you guys are okay with us getting rid of those.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Do you want to use them?
No, well, no. I think that there's a lot of stuff around here that we need to get rid of, and I know
Working
that,
on that.
I know that we are, again, you know, we can't talk to each other because of the sunshine law, everybody's aware of that. But sometimes I think maintenance gets pulled in multiple directions. And board staff gets pulled in multiple directions because we all have ideas about what we'd like to see done and what our different priorities are. But I want to go on the record and say that anything that is junk and has no value around here, I don't think Doug or whoever needs to ask for permission to get rid of it. I think we just need to go ahead and give him, authority to get rid of stuff. Now, with that being said, I will ask that you do at least tell people that you're getting rid of it in case there is a purpose for it or a reason, but this having to wait to make sure that it's okay, I mean, we've been in that Kwanzaa hut, there's so much of that stuff.
So much, and we just felt like these little benches, honestly, I can't believe they're left there, they're kind of newish looking, but who would use them? I mean, they're orange and blue.
I mean, can we set them outside and let?
Free to a good home?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, if we want to put it, you know, let the PIO put it out there, hey, we've got these benches, if anybody's interested, I mean, we gotta make sure that's legal. You know, we gotta make sure that we're not violating the law, but I think if we're giving them away, I guess we want nonprofits and churches would have first dibs, but.
And to kind of tag along with what you say, you're saying, Doug Parton, our new director of construction and maintenance, he's doing a lot of projects. He's getting ready to clean off the front of the building and treat it, paint it. He's doing a lot of clean outs on a lot of different things. I mean, I like things to look aesthetically pleasing and professional, and he's really jumped on board to do that. So I'm glad, thank him for cleaning out all these areas and taking loads to the landfill. He got rid of the bleachers out on the old football field. And I think I told you guys last time, he got rid of the old concession stand that was going in, so I appreciate that. We all appreciate that. And if you guys are good, we'll figure out what to do with those benches going forward. And I think that's all I have on my list.
Chairman, the only thing I would say is, any of that stuff, just make sure it's not on the asset list.
Yes.
No, I know that particular stuff may not be, but, you know, for.
There is some stuff over at Kwanzaa hut, but there's also stuff over there that comes from school.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff here that came from the school board. I mean, we inherited a lot. It's kind of like when my husband and I bought a house one time. It came with all of the guys' stuff, and we had the pleasure of filling up
His clothes?
roll-offs. Yes, there were clothes, furniture, I think there was even food in there. So we had the pleasure of filling out roll-offs, and I think that's what we're proud to be able to do here. So thanks, Doug, for stepping up to that task and taking care of it for us. We appreciate it. So that's all I have. Does anybody else? Anything else? All right, seeing none, we're going to move into approval of expenditures.
Motion to pay the bills.
Thank you, Meeks. Motion to pay the bills, moved by Commissioner John Meeks and seconded by Commissioner Rob Meeks. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes.
This side of the dice has carried the load today.
I did not.
It's always a little heavy over there, even for me.
Yeah. Approval of LCNR, DBA Brunson East Hardware expenditures.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Tim Hodge and a second by Commissioner Rob Meeks. LCNR.
I'm abstaining because I cannot vote on this because there's a perceived voting conflict. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. Approval of AMD supply.
Motion to approve.
Say, Madam Chair, I'll abstain from this vote to avoid the perceived conflict.
Thank you. Motion to approve by Commissioner Rob Meeks and a second by Commissioner Tim Hodge. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. We will now adjourn this meeting.